Let's talk about some March favorites. Sewing edition. I don't know about you, but I sewed more this March than I have in any other month before. So I challenged myself to do 10 projects in 10 days, which definitely upped my sewing numbers. I'm gonna share some of my favorite things that I made, some random thrifted finds, accounts that I've been following, and my favorite media that I've been consuming that's sewing related-esque, and some of my favorite things that I learned. Starting off with some of my favorite finds from this month, I went to Salvation Army in search of a blanket or some sort of thrifted item that I could turn into a dress. Fabric is so expensive and I really prefer to thrift my stuff. I found this great duvet cover. It's 100% cotton. The tag says it's from IKEA. One of the sides is this cool gingham and the other side is these green and white stripes. I actually like this so much that I thought I was going to just keep it for my bed, but it's actually a little bit small, so it makes it perfect for me to use for fabric. I'm going to try to make a dress or a jumpsuit out of this. If anyone has any good pattern ideas, please let me know, because I have a lot of fabric. I think that I want to combine the stripes and the gingham on one project just to make it a little bit more interesting. In this basket are all adult sewing patterns that actually happen to be pretty much all in my size, which is amazing. Someone put this on the Buy Nothing page on Facebook Marketplace, and my amazing sister-in-law saw it and went and got it for me. I looked through this and I mean, there are some great patterns. Like, I think that these shorts are super cute. I'll definitely be making a pair of these for summer. Some jean patterns in here. I have not made jeans before, but if I ever decide to, I could test it out with this. There's this, which I feel like could be cute if I did something like this. I would probably use some sort of black and white striped fabric and make them into pants. There are so many great patterns in here, so that was just really exciting to find. Moving on to some of my favorite sewing items. I have been using my buttonhole foot a lot more this past month. It has come in super handy. I'm still figuring out how to use it well, actually. So sometimes it works great, sometimes not so much, but it is so much better than having to hand sew a buttonhole or try to do just 2 zigzag stitches as close together as I can and then open them up. A buttonhole foot is something I've been really liking. Another thing I have been loving are these handmade labels. I remember I put them on everything I make now. I really like especially putting these on the clothes I make for my kids, because those clothes are so much smaller and sometimes it's hard to tell the front from the back if they don't have pockets. If you don't have labels like these, it is not necessary. You can just use a regular ribbon because the edges on those are already finished, and just fold them over in half and attach them to the back of your homemade objects so that you can tell front from back easily. Swedish tracing paper. A lot of times when I want to use a pattern and I don't want to damage the pattern itself, but I want to reuse it, I have traced it out, and I've used parchment paper in the past, but I got this Swedish tracing paper a while ago off of someone else's recommendation, and I just started using it in March. It's really like lightweight. I'm able to cut through it easily, but it does not just tear, and it's not like super flimsy like parchment paper. I'm able to just write on it with a Sharpie, and if it gets wrinkled, I can just iron it out flat. I've traced a few of my own patterns onto this month, and it worked really well. Something I've had for a while, but I haven't used really until this month, are ballpoint needles. I use these to sew on jersey fabric, on stretchy fabric, and they do seem to make a big difference. Last but not least, for my items, one thing I have really been liking that I got at Joann's for their closing sale is this stretch fabric. I'm kind of on a mission right now to sew my ideal workout tank top. I love to work out, and so I decided I'm going to make a shirt like that. I will be sharing that in a video soon. It seems to be moisture wicking, which I really want for my runs and going to the gym. So this I would add to one of my favorites. All right, some of my favorite things that I made in March. I, of course, am wearing a shirt that I made. I'm sure that it's not a written rule anywhere, but in the sewing community, if you are making a video about things that you've sewed, you have to wear something that you made. I sewed this shirt. I self-drafted this after cutting up some overalls that I had initially sewn and I didn't like the fit of. I like the blue gingham, and I did make some matching pants, so it's fun to have a matching set. Another one of my favorites I made is this matching crop top and headband. I mentioned that I'm trying to make the perfect workout top. So this was one of my sample pieces. I just wore this to the gym yesterday, and it was kind of fun just to have something that I did myself. The thing that I really love about this is that I have a matching top and headband. I'm not sure that this shirt will make many more appearances at the gym, but I will definitely be wearing this to farmer's market or something, and it's kind of fun to just be able to pair them together. Of course, I made my daughter some matching leggings and her own headband as well. I made these toddler wide leg pants. I just love how these look. I ended up making 3 pairs. These were just fun to make because, you know, toddler pants. What those handmade labels look like when they are sewn into clothes. I wish it was as quick and easy to sew clothes for myself as it is to sew clothes for kids. This is for a friend who's having a baby. This is one of my most technical makes, I would say. I used a vintage pattern for this, and it was just fun to include lots of details. A zipper that matches some of the fabric, a collar that's finished well, and an elasticated back. As far as media goes, some of my favorite things that I've been consuming, or some of my favorite content creators I've been following, are Jen K Creations on TikTok and Instagram, and Carmen, I think her name is Carmen. I will find a screenshot of her username and put it on the screen. Also been loving Tiny Folk Patterns on Instagram. I was able to pattern test some leggings for her, and I have another pattern test coming up for some kids clothing. Her stuff is so beautiful. If there was like a second version of me that was more inclined to be super aesthetically pleasing, I would love if my stuff could look more like hers. One book that I have been really liking this month that I feel is actually very related to sewing, or if you are creating items of any kind, is this book, Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. I just really appreciate that the author is encouraging makers to show things that they are learning, and just kind of document their journey, whether that's on a website or social media, which honestly is kind of prompting me to make videos like this. So if you are someone who makes things, I would encourage you to read this book, especially if you are trying to figure out how to put your work out into the world. One of my last media finds or favorites for this month, and you will laugh because I know, again, I'm like literally 10 years behind on this, but Hunger Games. I way back when read the first books and everything, but that's kind of the media that I have been consuming this month as I sew. I'm just catching up on the books, and they're just kind of not really lighthearted, but kind of lighthearted to listen to. That's probably not the right word to use. They're entertaining, and I've just been kind of having those in the background as I sew and drive around this month. My favorite sewing tip that I have learned, I sew with a Janome 6600, which is a really elite professional machine. And that is not because I am an elite professional sewer, but I actually inherited this amazing machine from my grandma, who was an excellent seamstress and quilter. And the thing I learned is that it has this feature called AccuFeed. Does your sewing machine have this? I'm not sure what other brands have. Feeds the fabric through super smoothly, so that's something that I've been enjoying. Last but not least, I'm just going to share my works in progress that I'm hoping to finish up in April, and hopefully I'll find time to make some other things in addition to those. I mentioned that I'm working on making the ideal workout top. This project is actually easier than I thought it would be since I'm just doing one layer, but what I realized is that I need to get the nice expensive fabric so that I don't need to do 2 layers to make it compressive. Thinking about adding a tennis skirt to this outfit just because I think it'd be kind of cute. It's kind of more work than I anticipated taking on for this project, but we will see. This will definitely be coming up in another video. I'm going to test out my workout gear. I think I'm going to try to do a 5-mile run in it. We will see. I also have just a few days left to make something in time for Easter. Here's an Easter dress that I made for my daughter, although I was kind of just self-drafting this on a whim and it doesn't quite fit her. But another work in progress that I have that I'm hopefully going to be able to finish in the next week is an Easter dress for my daughter and possibly one for myself if I can make the time. Those were all of my March favorites. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear anything that you've learned in this past month, some of your favorite fabric that you found and that you're working with, and maybe some of your favorite patterns for March. Thanks for watching.